Welcome back to Pitch Across Maryland. I'm Mike Binko, co-chair with Julie Lenzer-Kirk of this thing that we call Startup Maryland and the Pitch Across Maryland. It's really a celebration of entrepreneurship that we've branded a bus in the Maryland flag and the Maryland colors and Maryland pride, and we're taking around this great state and meeting entrepreneurs and high growth companies and understanding what they need to kind of get to that next inflection point in their business. So joining us now we have Johannson, Secretary of the Department of Business and Economic Development, DBED. For those of you who aren't aware of it, you need to know DBED as a resource because they're one of the main players across Maryland, along with our other tour sponsor, TEDCO, that can connect you with research dollars and grant money and even working capital. So Kristen, thank you for joining us.
It's good to be here, and by the way, you really should have a camera on the bus because this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. I mean, it's wrapped in the Maryland flag. You walk in, there's people, there's entrepreneurs sitting on the bus waiting to make their pitch. There's just this great sense of energy here.
Thank you for that. And
thank you for having me here.
That is one thing that we're absorbing, and we're kind of blown away by what we're seeing. I mean, you know, Julie and I kind of being based in the center of the state, we don't really get into the hinterlands for business reasons, and maybe for vacation and out to the mountains or the Eastern Shore. But we've just been so impressed by the diversity of what we're seeing, from Johnny Shockley and the team down at Hooper's Island Oysters, looking to cultivate the history of Chesapeake Bay oysters and putting that back on the map, to ideas of crowdfunding, something that has national implications. A student at UBalt yesterday basically is going to have a crowdfunding business that they're bringing out of the gate.
You know, Mike, Maryland's been called American miniature. I'd say it's American miniature, much improved and on steroids.
There you go.
That's what you got, because you get a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
You can get the whole agro businesses, whether that's wineries or that's an oyster business or whatever you might have. You get the cybersecurity businesses, you get biotech, you get the full range. You even have some innovative green businesses and manufacturing as well. I mean, you never know what you're going to get, but the strength of this state is that we have some of the most innovative people anywhere on the planet. I mean, we have 2% of the population. That's pretty small, isn't it? But we're number one in research. And if you looked at total dollars for federal dollars that the whole government showers upon the nation, with 2% of the population, we're number two in total federal dollars. And that's $12 billion that's going around this economy. That is extraordinary, because a lot of that is the innovation that ends up in life-saving cures, that ends up in protecting our nation, or ends up in other ways benefiting mankind. So it's a phenomenal state. Well,
and the other thing is, we've seen, people like to say, well, who's winning? What state is kind of, winning across the Potomac? And, we don't necessarily like to focus on that, but Maryland is winning. I mean, let's be honest. In the last 5 years, you don't hear those stories about, did Virginia win or Maryland win? Maryland goes around its business. It basically brings companies in. It brings resources in. I mean, you look at the knowledge economy in Maryland with NIH and Hopkins and Aberdeen Proving Ground, and now DISA being realigned into Maryland at Fort Meade. I mean, Virginia talks about that so much, but that's okay. They're doing great things down there as well, and the region is growing, and all ships rise. But we're really excited as we're going around the state. One thing that we are highlighting for a lot of the entrepreneurs who may not have been in tune with it is InvestMaryland and the Venture Fund. Talk a little bit about kind of what has happened in the last 18 months.
Sure. Well, first off, let me just say why what you're talking about is so important. And I know Scott says this many a time as well, but the fact is, if you look at this nation and if you look at where recovery is going to come from, go back 30 years and look at every year since then. Virtually all net new jobs in this country have come from companies 5 years and younger. There's a lesson in that, and that means that every state of this country needs to have an innovation and needs to have an entrepreneurship strategy. That's where InvestMaryland fundamentally comes from, because you can't just pay lip service to it. You have to invest in it. And what we're trying to do is really build an on-ramp that starts with innovation, goes to commercialization, goes to company formation, and yes, job creation. Hopefully Google, Under Armour, Microsoft, what have you, right? Yeah. So in that on-ramp, we've really put in place a number of tools, but one of the most important pieces is venture capital. And so InvestMaryland has specifically looked at what was the most effective way to get capital to innovative companies, and to be able to get it at an early stage, and also be able to provide them capital sort of as they grew. So InvestMaryland is an $84 million
oversubscribed.
Yes, public-private partnership where 2/3 will be invested by venture capitalists on our behalf. They're competitively selected. We have an independent board that selects them. There's no politics in their selection. Now, 1/3 of the money goes to the Maryland Venture Fund, which is under the Department of Business and Economic Development. And it's really critical money because we do seed deals. We do early stage deals. Venture capitalists often don't go that early.
That's that gap or that chasm that is so difficult to cross as you're a nation company idea moving to startup to ramp up and speed up. That's the critical point where the rubber hits the road.
You're absolutely right. And that venture fund, what we're hoping to do is to seed a number of businesses, and as we move up that value chain, to have those venture capitalists that we've put money into, have them be able to put in the tens of millions of dollars or of $1 million or $2 million into those companies. And so often our deals are as small as $100,000, $250,000, $500,000. But it makes all the difference in the world.
Well, and the other resources that DBED or an organization like DBED or TEDCO can bring are there grant dollars, are there research dollars, are there research funding options that might be available to supplement what you could get from InvestMaryland, and then you start to get, as an active angel, you get that herd mentality from the private sector of investors that say, hey, there's something going on here that I want to get involved in, whether it's syndicate deals and things that kind of grow amongst themselves. Particularly in this region, deals get done in teams, but more so than in other areas.
What you're really bringing up is that we have a responsibility to connect the dots, because there are always resources out here, right? And if we're all operating in silos, it doesn't matter how much money we have. But the fact is that if we can connect Johns Hopkins or UMBC or College Park or UMB or Morgan or any of our research universities and really tie them to entrepreneurs and to great ideas and capital, then you have magic. And we actually have a program that's specifically focused on the university angle as well, because part of what we recognize is we're so good at basic research, but sometimes it isn't ready for venture capital yet. So what we're doing is we're making lots of small bets on promising ideas in our universities. We'll make 50 of them over the next year through a program called InvestMaryland. And we'll probably do about $100,000 each into these things. And the hope is that even if you get 5 to 10 ideas out of that 50 that can migrate on to get angel capital or to get InvestMaryland money, we can move the ball forward and we can truly help connect those dots.
And that's a model that can grow exponentially, whether it's just in Maryland or is it with Maryland kind of taking the lead in other states or other regions coming and contributing. Whether it's a concept like InvestMaryland, which was not unique to Maryland. You looked at what other states had done, looked at it a little bit more progressively. The auction was something that you added into it that gave it a little bit more of a progressive stance. And bringing that out to other states that might be looking to raise a venture fund is something that we're working with Scott and the team at National to maybe see if that could be a playbook that other regions could use. And it's nice to see, we're trying to do our little part of kind of saying, hey, Maryland's doing this, you can do it too. So whether it's wrapping a bus in the Maryland flag and taking it out there and finding entrepreneurs, we want to give people the ideas and kind of help them do it. So that's a key thing, and with your leadership from the Secretary's position and with InvestMaryland now getting ready to start funding with its partners, I think it's a bright future ahead for Maryland and the region as a general.
And let me say that, the great news about venture capital especially is if other neighboring states also establish InvestMaryland programs, and hopefully we'll trademark our name into it, it doesn't hurt us because frankly, the more capital we have in our region, the Mid-Atlantic, the better it is for the state. And that's one of the reasons why we're so excited to talk to Startup America and Scott here and to look at whether our model can be used in other ways, because InvestMaryland is something any state could truly adopt and do it without help from federal government. Now in Maryland, we've gone beyond thinking about it. We're doing it. We're putting money to work. We're going to build great companies, and I think it's really exciting. And what you're doing here is so important because you're spotlighting the role of entrepreneurship, and you're giving these folks an opportunity to come in and maybe learn about things that they didn't know. A lot of folks still don't know that InvestMaryland exists. We all need to change that together, right?
Well, as we kind of move forward with this Pitch Across Maryland, we're going to continue to let people know about it, but also some of the things that we're doing on the back end of the tour of kind of with the pitch competition. We are promoting the InvestMaryland group with Tom Dan and Frank Dixon and the team getting engaged through the activities of DBED. We hope to have some good deal flow coming your way very soon, very quickly. With that, we want to thank you guys also for joining in, and we'll be giving you recaps as we go around the state and continue this tour. We're just over halfway through, so keep an eye out for the Startup Maryland bus as it comes to a town or a point near you.